This is the special edition of the Q&A. It's one day early. Today's Thursday. I'm Doug Cunnington. I talk about Amazon affiliate sites and project management. So I hear my voice, and that is a good sign. Hey, everyone, let me know in the chat where you're from. Say hello. I'm going to try and watch it pretty well. I saw a lot of people submitted questions over the last week. Much appreciated. I'm going to treat those with priority. Didn't have time to add all those. By the way, in the description, you will find the link to add your questions. So that is preferred over email, because I get a lot of emails. So this sheet is going to help a lot, and we're using it more and more. So I appreciate it, everyone that did use it. I see we have Zach on, we have John, Bob, Tom, Simon, Jaron, search engine. We have Zach, Evan, Mighty Sweet is Carol, and Jaron's in with a first question, which I'm just going to get right into it here. When writing a best of post, do I put information about the subject before or after the product list? Typically after, right? So the buying guide usually is after, but you could kind of you can kind of give like a small one at the intro if you want, or earlier on, but you do want to give some options for products early on for a best of type list. We have Steven, we have Max, we have Toki. How's it going, Toki? And I know a few people are in the productivity class like Toki, and I was just drafting up, re-editing the YouTube case study material. So I did have the live session, but now I've written, I don't know, I think it's roughly, let me check the word count on this baby. It's about 3,000 words or so, outlining the process in a more sort of formal way. So I'm going to be publishing that. I'll send that out, Toki and the rest of the crew. We have Doug, we have search engine asking a question, Lorraine, Amin, Robert from Arizona, and Tima. And search engine says, do I need a site for affiliate marketing? No, you don't. But you need something, right? You need to have something. You can do it via YouTube, right? You can do a YouTube channel. You can do Facebook, Pinterest, whatever you want, really. Websites are pretty good, though, I would say. Okay, I'm going to hop onto the questions. This one is from Art. Oh, and I think I may be able to add a couple others in here. Oh, wow. There's a lot that were sent in, and it's hard to see exactly. Okay. Dustin says, and I'm backtracking, some of these may have been answered or submitted last Friday during the session potentially, and I just want to make sure that I didn't miss them. They're good questions too. So Dustin says, what's the best way to determine the overall competition of a niche? So you would need to go through competition analysis and look at the competitors through a set of keywords. I would look at on-site and off-site material to be sure you understand the competition overall. And Art says, what's the recommended monetization strategy for the first 10 to 20 500-word articles? And it's the suggested ways are AdSense, Amazon, ClickBank. And the answer is, well, I think 500 words is short, and the monetization strategy should be based on the type of keywords you're targeting for whatever kind of content it is. So you should know how you're monetizing it before you publish the content. You shouldn't just publish stuff and then figure it out afterwards. And just making sure. All right. Next, let's see. Let me just make sure. Okay, so Jeff asks, This is a good question. So Jeff says, I'm very new to this and I've done some minor research and ideally would like to get to a point where I could do this part-time. I'm currently not working anywhere. I got laid off from my last job, but I'm in the process of looking. My main question is, could I do the groundwork now and get to a point where I still put in hours to where I can get some passive income? You could elaborate, but Jeff is respecting my request for not telling his life story. All those stories are interesting. Um, the answer is, could you do the groundwork now? Yes. The answer is you should probably start immediately. What you will find, Jeff, is most likely you're going to make some mistakes early. Everyone makes mistakes in the beginning. As you move on, hopefully you will make less mistakes, fewer, or at least different mistakes. And at that point, you'll just make bigger and different mistakes. Like, I still make mistakes now. They're just different than the ones that I was making before. The point is you should start as soon as possible for a lot of reasons. One is just the learning aspect. The other is, I mean, if you have free time right now and you put in, nearly a full-time effort aside from when you're searching for a job, then you'll be able to make tons of progress and it'll be, a good thing to do. Hopping back to the live chat. Welcome, everyone. By the way, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're new to the live streams, let me know also. Great to have everyone on. And Lorraine says, what can cause a drop in traffic, assuming no change in Google's rankings? So it could be a seasonal effect. It could be that let's see, seasonal could be less popular. There's a couple reasons, but that would be the main thing. Just sometimes people search less. So search engine marketing. Can I promote links in paid networks? I don't know. Check with a paid network. Free range guitar. What should the keyword density be? It depends for each keyword. It depends on the length of the keyword and tons of stuff like that. So you need to go do analysis on the competition. Use a tool like SEO Quick, which is free. It's a free Chrome plugin. And then you can check the keyword density for specific keywords on the competition. And then that'll give you sort of the average. Jay Bonner, what's up? Good to have you on. And then we have Vahi, Wesley, my man Wesley, who's on the channel. There's a few people who have been on the channel, like Jaron, Wesley. Those are the only folks I see on now. Zach says, you just found the channel and you've been watching the videos nonstop. Thanks for the support. Really appreciate it. And if you like the videos, be sure to give a thumbs up and or a comment. I think comments may be better. Mike says, do I ever buy existing sites or do I start them all from scratch? Well, I don't have a ton of sites, so I've generally started them from scratch. I have taken over, I guess, sort of purchased sites in the past, but I usually don't talk about those too much unless they are interesting. Okay. Back to the spreadsheet. By the way, there is a spreadsheet where you can submit your questions. By the way, if you enjoy the videos, hit the thumbs up. Really appreciate that. It does help me in some way. At least that's the word on the street. Brian asks, do I recommend using native ads? You should test it for your own site. For me personally, when I've tested the native ads, they didn't convert very well. So I have a couple ads here and there just because I didn't take them down after I put them up. But to me, I didn't really find that they were converting well. My theory is they look more salesy, right? They look more like you're going to make a purchase. So like someone knows what they're going to get on Amazon. So just not that many people clicked on it. It didn't seem to help all that much. Excuse me. Marianne says, do I manually index my page in the Google console or using the sitemap? Not usually. The only time I do is if I make a change and I want to have the page like refetched and indexed immediately so I could see the changes. Michael says, should you use the exact KGR keyword phrase as your post title or should you lengthen it? Which will help you rank better in Google? I think I haven't tested this, right? So the only way I would know is if I tested it. I would say put whatever makes the most sense. And if you have like the KGR term in the first part, and then you have the opportunity to put, something more interesting in the second half of it or whatever to entice more clicks, try it. See what happens. It's easy enough to change it back. All right. The questions are flying. Amin coming in with the support. Thanks. You say, if you're not subscribed to the email list, you should. I send many useful, free, actionable tips. That's true. You should sign up for the email list. Lorraine says, I sell a little more than 100 products per month, but only earn about $200. Is this common? It seems kind of low. I don't know. It depends on like the niche and the products and so on. So so I hope that makes sense, Lorraine. I don't know. I mean, it just depends. If there's a couple things you can do to make more money. You sell more products, you get more traffic, you raise your conversions, or you raise your prices, right? And I may have been redundant and mentioned the same thing twice, but there's only a few things you could do. So I would say pick one where you think you could do the most damage, make the most progress is a better way to say it, and then focus on that for say 60 days and see what happens. Johan says, let's say you have a Web 2.0 blog from WordPress. Someone has your domain. Can you duplicate your post from your Web 2.0, and will your new site have a ranking, even if the Web 2.0 is ahead? I'm not 100% sure I follow when you say someone has your domain. Can you duplicate your post from your Web 2.0? And I'm not really sure. Can you rephrase that perhaps? I'm just not following. Oh, Rose made it. Great to have you on. As far as all in title, this is Viha says it is for all in title. The results from KGR, should you do the exact match keyword or broad? You should do the, I believe you're asking if you should use quotes or not. All right. So don't use quotes. Zach says, is the Google Sandbox actually a thing? Your domain is about 2 to 3 months old. My answer is yes. However, I will pose, if you're watching the replay, leave a comment. Have you experienced the Sandbox? What do you think about the Sandbox? Do let me know in the comments. And if you're live on the chat, let us know. What do you think of the Sandbox? Typically, I've experienced it, but I was going to say it's more important when I get information from others, because it's like a broad set of information. But it's like when it hits 6 months, like traffic starts climbing a lot faster. So yes, search engine online. Can you use Blogger for affiliate? I'm going to make a request search engine. All right. For some of the questions, I'm going to be hard on you. I'm sorry. For some of the questions, you could simply just Google this stuff. So if you can Google it and find the answer, try not to ask it. It'll just be better for everyone here. So just a request. Nikiri says, question from Barcelona. What's up? If possible, create an Amazon niche app for Android and iOS, like a web, but apps, any example? If possible, create Amazon niche apps. You know what? I'm not really sure what you're asking either. I'm really sorry. Can you rephrase that? I'm having trouble. I understand all the words, but I don't understand how it fits into a question or what you're really trying to ask. Sorry about that. Question submitted via the form. Thanks everyone for doing it. This is Dan. I give you a shout out. So if you submit it that way, it's cool. So Dan says, I went to attend the next niche site project. You're finishing up your website and you started with niche site school. Your question is, if you enroll in the project with a new idea, will I review the site you're currently working on? You should be done by then. Generally, yes. Yes. And it does depend on the, like, if you're getting like one-on-one coaching, then yeah, of course, I'll take a look at whatever you need. But yeah, I'm pretty flexible, and I think the people in the course, like, they could tell you that I provide support across the board. I want you to be successful. Blue Fuse, that's other Doug, says, do I still ever use press releases? I've never used press releases. I've never used a press release ever, or purchase guest posts from places like Web 2.0 Ranker, or do I rely on manual outreach all done by myself? Okay, Doug, a lot of assumptions in there. I'm just going to correct the incorrect assumptions in the question. The answer is I don't use press releases. I don't purchase guest posts from places like you mentioned. And I rely on manual outreach, but I don't typically do it myself. So I hope that's helpful. But generally, here's the problem with like guest post services. It is very, it's hard to know who to trust, right? And I've seen like high end services where, you know, they they were not good sites. That was not like real outreach. It was just sort of some kind of content farm. And so there were some other real links that they obtained, but it wasn't consistent. But I think you'd be able to get some success, but you just never know what you're going to get. And at the prices that some are charging, you would expect like exactly what you're asking for. Krona says, how you doing? I'm doing well, thanks. I sold a site. Can I reveal the URL? No, I cannot. And then the middleman says, of course he buys press releases. I don't buy press releases. And I see Duke is mentioning some stuff there. Rose says, do I have a short URL like you learned that Google won't read words like the stop words, so you don't put it in? Do I agree? I don't think it really matters that much, to be honest with you. So I do prefer shorter URLs, right? So if I could make it shorter, then that's cool. But I have some that do have the stop words in there, and I don't think it matters all that much. But shorter does seem better in general. Lorraine says, does the GDPR affect Amazon niche sites? It depends on what you're doing with your like email list and your data and generally stuff like that. But in general, you probably don't have like a huge impact. But if you have an email list, it will impact you more, I would say. All right. Haroon says, you made a new authority niche website with 32 mediocre posts. You hired a writer, paying them $15 an article. Is it okay to start buying articles before you see any ROI from your website? It all depends on your budget. So only you can answer that. But in general, yes. I mean, you can invest before you see an ROI. It depends on your risk aversion and all that kind of stuff. Pat says, you thought of a couple of subjects. Okay, so what if you find a great bunch of KGR compliant keywords, but half a dozen or so paid ads are on the page? Would I bother with that phrase, create content for it? What would I do? I would probably do it. I would probably still do it because me personally, I typically ignore the ads. Like I don't have an ad blocker or anything. I just don't pay attention to them. And I would rather go to other sites that are potentially more accurate than just like some ad site. But it depends. It depends. So next question is, what if any Amazon affiliate plugins or add-ons do I recommend adding to a WordPress site? Mainly security ones. The ones you pick don't really matter. I use some Jetpack plugins, and a couple others, but it really doesn't matter too much. In general, I just try and keep the number of plugins to a minimum and let that sort of guide everything I do. So less is more for me. And next, let's see. And John is saying, you sent a question in Friday. Should you resend it? No, please don't resend it. Let me find your question in here. I wasn't sure if I answered it. Yeah, I think I already answered this, John, last week. But I could do it again for you. No worries, buddy. What is the process I use to determine which article you will add extra content to a published post? So I think I answered that at the last session, but basically, John, I find the ones that are doing well, and then I add content to those versus trying to like improve ones that are like not doing well. And next, I'm going to come back to the chat so I don't get too far behind here. Which I am getting far behind. All right. Evan says sandbox, the Google sandbox is definitely a thing. You've noticed big jumps in traffic that can't be explained by anything else. Yeah. Interesting. Another one around a year. Yes, I've seen that too. Zach says, what does it mean if a search term has volume but no results for an all-in title? Does that mean there's no competition? Generally, yes, Zach, that is correct. No competition. Next. Lorraine says, do I find Amazon banners useful? Generally, not really. But I mean, there's no reason to like not try them out. Always test stuff. I mean, I think every site will react differently to different types of ads or affiliate material and stuff like that. Thanks about the bottle. It's a Nalgene bottle. I have stickers on it here, which is fun. Maybe I can talk about the stickers once I get through all the questions when we hit a dead spot. You know, I'm sure people care about my stickers. Nick Kari says, when I make a niche site, do I use WordPress? Yes. And this is fine, but you mean an Android or iOS app for showing the products? Oh, got it. Got it. I have never done that. I don't think it would be a good use of time. But I've never done it, but it doesn't sound like it'd be profitable or extremely effective. It could be interesting. All right. You know, let's just throw out a business idea. What if you had an app that did price checking across a couple different platforms, right? And then you got a commission from either of the platforms. You're an affiliate, but basically you would, you know, do price checking. That's interesting, right? You could do an app on that. Via says you go by Alex as well. Okay. All right. People are submitting questions multiple times. That is okay. It just takes me a little while to go through. Oh, and if you ask live in the chat and in here, that is okay. No worries. I'm still figuring out the process of using the form. So we're learning together here. I realized I was just getting quite a few emails and they bring me down. I'll be honest with you. When I get a bunch of emails and it's just, I can't reply to them all in a quick manner and give complete answers. But the problem with that is the one-to-one. So someone goes to the contact form and they're like, hey, Doug, and they ask me a very specific question just for them. I love to try and help everyone. And I've tried to do that up until this point, but it's really hard to answer every single email. So if I can answer the question where a lot of people can benefit from it, that's what I'm trying to do. That's the main thing. And it really it drains me to get the emails, and especially the contact emails where, you know, someone potentially could have just looked up the answer on Google. Like, really simple. All right. Back to it. I'm getting so far behind here. We got a good crew, 60 people. If you can give a thumbs up, really appreciated. Um, Free range says, what would you rather focus on for a brand new domain? Finding KGR phrases to write content for, or writing amazing content for slightly higher volume keywords? The former, KGR, 100%. Middleman says, you always do manual outreach and never buy links, citations, or press releases. Generally, okay, so I can't speak in absolutes because I've tested a lot of things. So, have I always done manual? Do I always do manual outreach? Currently, that's how I'm operating. Yeah, manual outreach. Have I always done manual outreach? No, I've tested several different like sort of mail merge programs and stuff like that. And that was like 2 years ago. And I never buy links. Well, I used to buy links all the time, but I don't do it now. Citations never use, press releases no. And feel free to ask follow-ups, middleman. I'm not sure I got your specific point. NoFap says, is the collab video about KGR with Income School coming out soon? I haven't caught back up with them yet, but I have some cool ideas. So we need to work on it, but nothing in the books yet. So the problem was like I got super busy like right when all that stuff was happening. I was literally launching my course like the next day, and then I'm working with students right now a lot, so I'm still busy, but I'm still catching up. Okay. Philip says, how many blog comments can you really do daily without upsetting Google? Your website is about a month old. I don't know. I've never tested how many you can do without getting in trouble. But I would say you could probably do like 20 a day and it's probably fine. Not all of them are going to be approved. Not all of them are going to land. So you'll be okay. You'll be fine. And next, Andrew says, sup. How you doing, Andrew? How many products do you review for a KGR article? It depends. So, 1 to 3 or more. Sometimes I will put a lot more. So right off the bat, I'll probably put like 1. Janet says, first time catching live. Awesome. Thanks for joining. What will happen if you duplicate your post from a free WordPress blog to a new domain? Should you leave the post and just add a link from your new site? And you're a big fan of the KGR. Thanks. That is interesting. I'm not 100% sure what I would do. I would probably, I don't have a ton of experience with the free WordPress blogs, but I would ideally like 301 redirect those posts to the new content. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to rank your new site, which I assume that's what you're trying to do, then that's what I would suggest. Somehow move the content over. And I'm not sure how like a free WordPress blog works with, say, Google Webmaster, the Search Console, because you could tell Google like, hey, this site used to be over here and now it's living over here, and you let them know the mapping, right? So, and Evan says, so for the site you're working on, you saw 150 to 200% jump in traffic around the sandbox mark when you really weren't publishing much. So yeah, totally. Very interesting. No worries, John, on the question. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure out what's going on here. Emmanuel says, what are my thoughts on Flywheel versus WP Engine for web hosting? I've never used either of them. I use Siteground. Siteground and another company called MDD Hosting. I think I'm not 100. I mean, I've never used either one of them. So that's the disclosure. But I've always felt like WP Engine was a little too expensive for like what they offered. I always felt that way. And the only people recommending WP Engine were affiliates. And I always, I mean, even if it's like a trusted source, if you know, and they pay high, right? Like, so it's a little more expensive. They pay a lot for their affiliate stuff. And it always made me wonder, like, is it really worth the extra money? Or not? Is it, am I being persuaded by people that are getting paid? I'm not even sure what the affiliate amount is, but because they charge more, they could pay out more. The lifetime value of a customer is higher, so they could pay more for it. Benji's dad, what's up? Good to see you. And okay, I'm gonna try and go faster here. All right. Zach says, adding on to what I just said about the no competition, if you try and rank for this keyword, should you expect it to show up on the first page of the results? It depends. You never know. I would say potentially. It depends on how old your site is, depends on how long the content is. You should also Google the term and see what comes up, right? So if it's say, if you Google the term without the all in title, you just Google it and you see it's like all YouTube videos, you're probably not going to be able to rank for it. Or if it's all e-commerce or all like medical related sites, authority, big, huge authority sites, then you should probably, avoid it. But should you expect to show up on the first page? Maybe. It depends. Jaron says, on sites with significant traffic, say 30,000 page views a month, have I tested ads such as a premium ad network? Are they worth it? It's hard to believe they wouldn't add revenue to the overall income of the site. I haven't. So I do mainly focus, Jaron, on just the Amazon side. I think, and actually you told me, Jaron, that if there's some other premium ad networks that like do pay out well if you have enough traffic. And I would say, give it a shot. I mean, especially if you have a significant amount of content where it's purely informational and there's not like many products around it, you may as well, test it out and see. Jay Bonner says, if a post isn't doing well, do I think changing the title and target keyword is worthwhile? Yeah, give it a shot. Next, Mulks says, did I test my review post for conversions to find the best structure and a way to write them? No. Haroon says, you found a niche that has a high commercial intent, but there isn't much competition. How long till you see an ROI? That's a tough one. I would say the harder you work on it, the faster you'll see an ROI. But I would say, I don't know what it is, right? So I'm just guessing. But I would say if you know what you're doing, like 6 to 8 weeks, potentially you could see some revenue coming in. For your ROI, right? Well, it depends on how much you're investing. So you don't know. I mean, I don't know how much you're investing. So I don't know when you're going to start seeing an ROI. Does that make sense? Lots of questions today. This is great. Good number of people. How we doing on the likes? By the way, let's take a quick look. 30. That's not that great. We got like 59 people on here. So if I answered your question, give a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Cool. All right. Crypto says, how long should each post be? As long as it needs to be. All right. Wesley drops some knowledge and says, depending on the people competing for the post, if their post is 1,500 words, you want to be longer, right? So that's kind of the idea. Barry is on. Good to have you on. Middleman says, do I have any suggestions to index faster? I think this may not be helpful. All right. So you can just submit the page, right? Submit your site in the search console, and then it'll just do it, right? In like a minute or something like that. It's really fast. So you could do that. Or if you don't want to mess with that, if you get more links to your site and have a lot of interlinking throughout your site, then you usually don't have to worry about it too much. And Zach is asking about blog commenting. So I have a video on it, but basically, you comment on other people's blogs, as it sounds, and then you're networking and you're getting some backlinks, some no follow backlinks to your site. All right, I'm going to hop back, even though I'm getting very far behind. I'm going to hop back to the spreadsheet. Steve says, if someone follows your link to Amazon and buys the product, why would they need your site for future purchasing? They wouldn't. Why wouldn't they bypass the middleman and go directly to Amazon? Some people, here's the exact reason why. Why are Amazon affiliate sites useful? If you go to Amazon, let's say you're looking for an external hard drive, which I was looking for a few weeks ago. It turns out there's a lot of external hard drives out there, and it's really hard to get good information. If you start looking through all the reviews, you see, some 5-star reviews, some 1-star reviews. You really don't know what to get, and they're like 5,000 different kind of external hard drives. So in this case, I went to YouTube, and I was like, external hard drive for video editing, right? So classic long tail keyword, some videos popped up, people recommend certain drives, and it narrowed it down for me. So the point is, there are too many choices, and it's easier sometimes to have a curated list. The other thing is, you're asking the question, why would they do it? Which is interesting, right? It's good to have that insight, but people are doing it. Like, we know that from the success of sites like, Outdoor Gear Lab, the Wirecutter, top 10 reviews. Like, the sites exist and they're making a lot of money. So we know that people are doing it. If we don't know exactly why, that's okay. Next, Jordan says, you want to expand your niche site. How do I go about doing so with a new domain, but not losing rankings? So basically, you buy a new domain and redirect it to redirect the old domain to the new domain. There are a bunch of different step-by-step guides out there, but it's a matter of redirecting with your host, with your registrar, with your domain registrar. You redirect there. You do some work on the Search Console, so you tell Google, hey, I'm redirecting this site to another site, and a couple little things like that. It's a process. It's just a problem to solve, right? It's a little bit of a pain, but it's not impossible. I did this recently for a site, and it took about 4 to 6 weeks for the traffic to come back, right? It took a little while for the rankings to recover, but they recovered just fine. Amar says, is there any other way to build EDU links besides scholarship links? So you would have to network and or do outreach with people that publish on EDU blogs. So it is totally possible. And I know some people that have obtained links. They just happen to have a good site, good credentials, right? So if I, like me personally, for niche site project, I potentially, right, I have a PMP, I have a computer engineering degree, so I could potentially like tie in multiple areas and like be a reference or be quoted on like an article on an EDU site. So it's just like any other like publishing outlet, I would say. And okay. We see here. Oh, and Benji's dad said $200 per referral for WP Engine. So, I mean, that's a thing. Janet says, you're subscribed. You got to go to work now. Cool. Good to have you on. Does updating articles, this is from Spartan, updating articles with more content or changing anything slow down their ranking? You want to write 500 to 1,000 more words on some articles, but you wouldn't want Google to penalize you for it. No, you should be good to go. I mean, the only reason you would get penalized is if you like keyword stuffed or did something like not cool. But adding content is a really good thing. So add tons of content. Next, Richard, what's up? You can understand all the email questions could bring you down. Is it okay to ask questions in the Facebook group? Would it be okay to take the advice from others? Richard. Hey, Richard. Richard is a student. Richard, you have a different set of rules. The students play by different set of rules. So you have the bat phone email address. So you email me if you have a question. So totally cool there. That is what I like spend time on and treat it with priority. So Richard, no worries there. It is some of the other emails that sometimes are a little bit rude, and they're just, you know, not cool. But because you're a student, Richard, you get special priority. So sorry, I didn't mention that, Richard. Yeah, Richard, you're a student, you're good to go. JS, you only have days left before you hit the deadline for 3 sales. You have 1. Traffic has been increasing. What should you do to stay in the program? Yeah, you could just register again. Zach mentions. So I would just say, go on with your life and try and get more traffic to your site over the next month or so, which shouldn't be a problem. You should be able to, I mean, if you've done things properly, you should be able to, I mean, your site's 4 months old. You're really close to the sandbox period anyway. If you've done things right over the next 3 weeks, you should be able to get more traffic just by doing smart things. And then you should be able to get those sales. And then after you're getting more traffic, say instead of 150 views per month, let's aim for maybe like 20, maybe 600 to 1,000 per month, right? Then apply. So after you're getting some traffic, then apply. Don't worry about it if you're going to miss out on like 1 or 2 affiliate commissions. It doesn't really matter. Next, what's my take on Amazon price comparison sites? What about one product sites? I don't have a strong opinion. I like my content driven type sites where it's SEO based versus price comparison based. Perhaps I'm misunderstanding. If you want to give it a shot, I mean, I know there are sites out there like that. And Benji's dad says, where would I look for outreach backlink opportunities for reviews? So I would look for like blogs that are not your direct competitors, right? They're not going to link to your site. They're probably not even going to respond to your emails or any kind of like networking that you're going to do with them. So find something like closely related, and then you can network with them. Hopefully get links. It'll be relevant sort of overlap topics and go from there. So where would you look? I mean, I would just look in Google, find some good footprints to check out, and then you're in good shape. So hopping back to the questions that were sent in. This is from John. You're probably not going to be live, so or he's not going to be able to make it live. Can I give an example of a great blog comment that are good for outreach networking? Yeah, so I would say something that's sort of insightful. Like you just want them to remember you, right? Here's the thing, like I get tons of emails where people are just saying, "Hey, I read your site. I'm a big fan. I liked, this article." And they're just using a template, right? Like they're just using a template. I mean, I know all these like mail merge tricks, right? And then they're automating the responses and all that stuff. It's just garbage, right? And I see those now and I just delete them. I mean, I get so many and they're so poorly done that I don't think they work anymore, and they're going to continue to get worse, right? So the more people that send these automated ones out, the worse it's going to get. So that said, all you need to do is like get the person to remember you. So it's good to ask a question, right? But if you comment on someone's blog 2 or 3 times and then sign up for their email list, shoot them an email reply to one of their emails, they're going to remember you. And then when you send your pitch, it's not going to be from a stranger, and they're going to have some context around you. Barry says, have I been able to get affiliate commissions for informational articles? Yes. Zach says, next. Oh, so the example of a great blog comment, anything will do. Just it needs to be unique to the article. And if you're just like, hey, this is a super insightful article, that's not a good one. So it needs to be specific and that sort of thing. Evan says, you've been successful with niche sites and you're curious what pulls you back towards spending so much time on content here versus, say, the 4-hour work week vision and pulling in dough while you sun yourself in the beach. Do I love teaching? Sick of the misinformation? Just curious about the mind frame and what happens when you've had success. So yeah, I do enjoy teaching. There is a lot of misinformation out there. At one point, I made a decision that I wanted to have like a platform versus just affiliate sites. So some other people that are in my mastermind group, they, opted out. They were like, I don't want to have a platform. I only want to focus on the affiliate marketing stuff. And I was like, I'm kind of interested in doing more. And I've done these in parallel. It has held me back in both areas, by the way. So I could have done way more in affiliate marketing, and I could have done way more in just being, I guess, like a blogger. So like it's slowed me down in both, but it's good. It's good to have like the two different things, right? It also is a disadvantage to have the two different things. And I would say the 4-week work week vision of pulling in dough while you sun yourself in the beach in Thailand, whatever that. So that's not me. I'm working more now than I did when I had a job. I'm enjoying it a lot more. And I'm taking a trip here in a couple in several weeks. And I think it's like the first time I've taken a lot of time off in like over 2.5 years. So like I've been working way harder, and I think that's probably common. I mean, if I wanted to take a couple years off or whatever, I could, but then I don't know. Anyway, the point is, why do I spend so much time on content? It's kind of interesting to build a platform. I have like a technical background, so all this marketing stuff, super interesting. Everything's new. Everything's brand new. All right. Haroon, love this question. All right. For the KGR, you limit us to 250 local monthly searches. What if a keyword has less than 63 all-in titles, but well over LMS? Like if the monthly search volume is 1,000. The KGR still works in this case. No, unless it does. So here's the thing. There are a number of people that will say, yeah, I did it for a 1,500 search volume term, and it worked. However, we don't know the other details of their site, right? Maybe the site's a couple years old. Maybe it has a bunch of links going to it. Maybe they're already ranking for a lot of similar topics and there's relevancy on their site already. So we don't know all the details. What I hear way more common though is, hey, Doug, I read the Rule of 63 article, right? Haroon, if you haven't read it, I read the Rule of 63 article and I published something and it didn't rank. Doug, why didn't it rank? Well, there's a reason 250 is in there, and that's because I believe that the higher the search volume, like there's a little bit more to ranking, right? It's a little bit harder to rank. So 250 is there for a specific reason. I encourage you to experiment, Haroon. This is just my way, right? This is just the way I do things. It seems to work really damn well, But if you want to experiment and do something a little bit different, go for it. Like there's no one way to do it. There's a lot of different approaches. Like the KGR will get you traffic faster. If you want to, go after something bigger, you can do it. Like anything's possible, right? You could definitely do it. It just may take you a little longer. That's all. That's all. So I would say if you're just starting out, stick with the formula. Stick with the formula for like 2 months and then start experimenting. And this is great, by the way. All the conversation going on. It's like there are Q&As happening in the chat where I don't even need to say anything. So this is fantastic. I see it's happening. I love it. So keep it up. All right. Chrono says, you used to work as a PMP in software and business consulting and delegated PMP skills to niche site creation and make it profitable. So, and I think the rest of the question will come up soon. Tima says, you appreciate the answer. You're planning on adding content and of course, SEO optimized. It's a lot of work. So you just wanted to know if it could be profitable. Emmanuel says, any recommendations where you can learn more about SEO for free as a noob? If you like videos, which you're here right now watching this, so you like videos, YouTube is really good. And then I would say if you like blogs, check those out too. I would say if you're just talking like pure SEO to learn like a good baseline set of knowledge, I would go to Backlinko. Brian Dean is really good. And I think it lays a great foundation. And I think there are some areas where he's focusing more on potentially like in-house marketing teams that are looking to improve SEO. So there are some strategies where it's like, like the idea is fine, but the implementation is maybe more suited for like an in-house marketing team that's focusing on SEO versus like an individual. So Bob says, let's say you have a 1,500 word article and the choice of putting in a blog page or a post. Does Google rank heavier on the blog or the post? You should probably put it as a post, Bob. There's a reason that I mentioned in the course, and feel free to follow up with an email. Bob is another fine student of 5-Figure Niche Site, by the way. See ya, Evan. Good to have you on. So, and Kronos, I'm going to read the whole question together here. So I was a PMP and I worked in software and consulting and delegated PMP skills. I think delegated may not be the right word, to niche site creation and making it profitable. So are those skills critical to succeed in niche site building? If they're needed to succeed in profitable niche sites, if so, what do I recommend to learn PMP skills? Okay, PMP, by the way, is the project management professional certification. It's by the PMI, Project Management Institute, and there's a lot of there's a lot of people that have a PMP now, but 10 years ago when I first got it, there were fewer. And it's a difficult credential to get. It's fairly expensive, all in, like just, to take a class ahead of time and to actually get the credential. Like not only do you have to have project management experience, like on the job, I think the test is like $600+, and then you have to take like some classroom time, like 35 hours of classroom time before you could take the test. And that ranges depending on how you're doing it. It could be from, $400 if you do an online version to multiple thousand if you do like a classroom, like in-person presentation situation. But the point is, I'm just explaining the PMP thing for people, It is very corporate focused. It's a great set of skills, but you don't need to have it. It just makes things easier, right? So, like, if you're trying to publish a lot of content or work with like hiring people, like if you have a good understanding of the project management framework and stuff, which spans from the business side to HR to like the operations of like actually managing the project, super helpful. So I would say if you could just set up like a workflow, which is like a minute part of project management. If you set up a workflow, then you're probably in good shape. Like if you understand like handoff points between teams and stuff, then you're in good shape. And Haroon says, what makes me skip a question? Usually I don't see it. So usually I don't see it because the chat gets messy. And if I here's the thing, if I think a question is bad, I'll usually just say, I think this is a bad question. So I usually don't skip them intentionally. We have a question that was sent in, by the way. If you have the opportunity to submit questions ahead of time, uh, that's great. I get it in the spreadsheet. And I think it's easier. We're still working out the kinks here. So Muntasir says, can I have a screenshot of YouTube, or can I take a screenshot of a YouTube video and use that screenshot as an image on your site? Given that I mentioned the channel where I took the screenshot, will it create any problem with Google or Amazon Associate Program? I think so. I'm not sure. I would potentially check with YouTube. Um, you can, however, embed like the video, right? So you could just embed the video. So that would be preferable because um, we know that that's fine. So I would suggest that. Um, I would imagine you potentially run the risk of the individual that created the video saying, "Hey, I didn't give you permission to do that." However, if you're linking to them, if you're linking to the video, um, they will probably be happy that you're linking to them, right? Everyone wants more, like more of their stuff promoted. So if you're doing that, that's a good thing. Um, I would say you maybe have an opportunity to like contact the person and build a relationship, right? Like there's tons of YouTubers out there. So, okay. And I see the chat is getting hot again. Vance says, you find tons of good info keywords, but not buyers keywords. Um, and a few are below 250 volume. What's my take? So, but not buyers keywords. But buyers keywords are more competitive. Okay. So that that could just be a common thing, because like more people are going after the buyers keywords. But I would say I do know that as I'm getting more information, like if you have like good informational articles that are just less competitive, you can still put affiliate links in there, right? If there's a how-to article, right? If there's how-to information in there, a lot of times they need a specific product which you could recommend. Or if you know someone's looking how to do something, you also know like the other things that they're interested in, so you could recommend products that maybe they would buy. So that said, you could still make money from informational products. It is good to have, I mean, just at least a few buyers keywords. Chris says you have many KGR informational posts ranking in the top 3. Is it worth adding affiliate links with only 200 visitors per month? Potentially. I mean, that's not really very many. So that's only I would focus somewhere else. So no, if you're only getting 200 visitors per month, um, go get more links, add more content, do something else. You need more traffic. That's not really that much. Will Google penalize the site with links on 90% of its pages? I don't think so, but I've never like tested that on a large scale. But I would say if you look at a site like the Wirecutter, right? They have affiliate links on I think most of their content, but it's high quality content, right? It's long form. It's not a large number of affiliate links like on a specific page. It's all appropriate. Um, oh, cool. So I think this person, Viha, says Alex, right? So any books that I could recommend for non PMPs to have some basic ideas of project management? So I haven't, not really. I would say if you take a look at like the 4-hour work week, that gives you sort of like a framework to look at. Um, but I haven't read many project management books because I didn't need to, right? Or the ones that I did were specifically for PMPs. Um, but again, I would probably say if you go to pmi.org, there's going to be some good information there. And then YouTube again, if you just there's so much content, you could probably find like some keynote presentations where people give like information about like basic project management for non PMs. Zach says, if you're not getting much traffic, should you still post affiliate links on your articles or wait until you're getting more traffic? It doesn't really matter. I mean, you could put, a couple in there anyway as you're publishing content, but it's really up to you. Haroon says, let's say I outsource 50 articles for $15 each that follow the KGR formula and have good commercial intent. How long till these articles start generating income? Unfortunately, Haroon, that is impossible to answer. I have no idea. So I have seen it happen in, you know, 2 weeks, right? But it depends on a number of factors. You can get traffic if it's a brand new site. Wesley was on at least earlier, and it could be 32 days, right? He got traffic, someone bought something in 32 days. So that's interesting to note. But I would say, hey, why don't you scale it back? Just say, hey, I'm going to try and publish 10 articles. Let's get those out there, see what happens. And once you get 7 of them done, you start looking at the next set of 10. You figure out like what you're trying to do. Or if you have the budget for that, what is that, $750 if I'm doing math right, then you're able to potentially, spend that money, publish all that stuff, and then assess it after that, right? So if you have the ability to do it, go for it. Emmanuel says, what if you made the video that you're linking to? Would Google punish you for that? No. All right. 2 more questions in that were sent. Oh, 3 more questions that were sent in. Marcel says, I just bought a site on Flippa that has a lot of best ballpoint pens for under $100 type articles. The owner had prices that were static, not being updated in real time by the API. You moved all the prices and added clarifications that were that the prices were under 100 at the time of the writing. You've never done articles in this format. Is there anything else you should do to cover your ass in case the click-through shows prices over 100? Can you contact Amazon to see, I can contact Amazon to see what they say, but I'm curious if there's any advice. So do contact Amazon, Marcel. This is a good question. I've actually called Amazon a couple of times to ask this specific thing. They were unable to give me like a clean answer. They were like, basically, they don't want to mislead anyone on like the pricing, right? They want a good customer experience. That's why the rule's there, right? They're not trying to be mean. They want the customers to have a good customer experience, right? So I think you're doing the best that you can. The danger is prices change, right? So one way that I've tried to ensure that this is okay, in it's not an exact science, but let's say that threshold is $100, right? I would make sure everything was under like 80, right? Or 85. So prices change, but they're usually like smaller amounts. So I would avoid stuff that was like 98.99 because that's pretty close to $100. Like a little price change, that's over the threshold, bad customer experience. So I would use that as a guide. I would call Amazon and find out what they say. Wes says, how important is the word order for KGR terms? For example, you found a really good KGR, but the keyword isn't grammatically correct. But what is surprising is the Google results. So only a form has these keywords in the title. Basically, I try to like have proper grammar. I don't know if that was a ironic sentence, but basically, I try and have proper grammar, right? So just in general, aim for that. And right, if you see that Google is actually showing results with when you Google the term without the all in title and you're just Googling it, if you find that um, they are listing things out like a forum, right, that has the keywords, then that's probably a good sign, right? Because if you actually put it in that order and Google is recognizing that as a valid, like they're not calling it a grammatical error, then that could be okay. So I would test it a little bit and generally, go for proper grammar over other incorrect grammar choices. And we're back to the live chat. By the way, if you are just joining up or if you haven't liked the video, if you have the opportunity to hit the thumbs up, I appreciate it. And Wyoming says you have 8 articles right now. Each are ranking 25th for their main keyword. They're mostly articles um, and they all something. Most of the articles are KGR, and the ones that aren't are still low competition. How do I get them to rank number 1 to 3? Add more content, get more backlinks. That's basically, those are like the 2 things, right? So improve the content, add more content, get more backlinks. Those are the 2 things. It's super simple. John's out of here. See ya. Okay. And okay. So I see some questions that I missed here. And Haroon, I missed the question again. So if you're interested in the skip question, sure. Thanks for retyping it. What's the exact process for letting your content manager choose the products to review in a KGR article? I tell them to pick a decent product, look for 4 or 5 stars and, pick a product that looks like it's a good one. That's really about it. I have some Haroon, if you're signed up for my email list, there's like a couple content type templates. Yeah, by the way, if you're not signed up for the email list, I give away like all my templates basically. So there's one that I use for like all the content stuff. So it's like the content manager job listing, some emails you may need to send to them, instructions, whatever, right? It's all there. So and by the way, there's no right or wrong way to let them choose the product. You could choose the products, right? Here's actually a better idea. You choose the products for the first couple articles that the writer does for you, and then let them know how you're picking them, right? Figure out how you're finding them. And then you could just tell them, hey, why don't you pick them next time? Here's the 4 steps that I went through. You look for the ratings, you look for the price, you look for a couple of the interesting reviews or something like that to make sure it's a good product. something like that. And your guitar guide says, is the sandbox 1,000 days? No, more like 6 months. So 180 days, as Zach mentions. And Blue Fuse says, is it better to make all posts epic at first or write medium quality posts as sort of a litmus and then see how they do and go back and prove the best ones later? I usually do the latter, but I think if you know the topic and you know like the niche, maybe it's fine to just go big at first because you know it's going to work. Rose says, have I checked intopic.org for improving content as you go to get it to the first page? No. Josh, what's up? Good to have you on. You're fearful of linking too much to inner pages versus not hitting the homepage with the majority of the time. What do I think? Um, yeah, you shouldn't worry, man. Don't worry. I would say it matters less than you think. So, if you do 50-50, that's probably fine. And cool. Thanks for signing up for the list. All right, search engine online marketing. I don't do anything with paid networks, so I don't know, but I would suggest Googling it and probably searching it on YouTube. So that's where I would start. I mainly focus on Amazon affiliate sites. All right, any other questions? I think we got through the majority of them. Thanks, folks, for using the form. Not only does it hopefully reduce the emails I get, it's a little cleaner, so I could actually copy and paste the questions into the description, I think. And then it also serves as a way for me to get ideas for new videos because each of these questions sometimes they're packed with like 2 or 3 video ideas. And when you have a question, it usually means there's a bunch of others. Emmanuel says, have I heard of Affilorama? What are my opinions? I've heard of them. I don't know. Um, I would say I think you must have been on yesterday, Alex's live stream. We chatted afterwards. Someone asked about the collaboration with Income School. So we haven't planned that yet, but I need to email those guys today. I did talk to Alex at WP Eagle though, and we have a really awesome like set of content that's coming out. So keep an eye. It's going to be a few weeks out. We have a lot of work to do on it, but I think it's going to be really cool. We're both excited to put it together, and yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. Okay, so as far as a Philorama, I don't know. It sounds I've heard of it, but I would be leery if it's like a long-term membership situation. It sounds sketch to me. Oh, and Miss Shawnee says, okay, not a stupid question. What does sandbox mean? So it's sort of like we're referring to it as like a period of time of about 6 months where like when you first start your site and start putting content on there, Google typically doesn't rank it as higher. It can rank for some things, but Google typically doesn't rank it as high for like most terms in Google. So it gets some traffic, but it's just slower, right? And then after you hit 6 months, you've made it out of the sandbox, and now you're like in the regular playground, we'll call it. And your rankings will move up a little bit more and faster once you get out of that sandbox. even without you doing anything. Like you don't get any more backlinks, you don't do anything, and then you're able to just get more traffic and you'll improve your rankings. So hopefully that answers your question. All right. Doug says, appreciate the answers. Munker says, not sure if I'm familiar, but the gaming market is getting big. How hard do you think it's getting into a website like that? I don't know. I'm not big into game. Actually, I'm not interested in gaming at all. But I would say it's so large. I bet there are a lot of different avenues to get into it. So I think if you focused properly, you can get into. I mean, internet marketing is really competitive, and I've somehow managed to have an internet marketing blog. Bob says, thanks, you're welcome. We have Sindana says, quick question: does social bookmarking work, or will it hurt your website? I don't think it does anything. So I don't know if it actually like works. I don't necessarily think it'll hurt your website though. Josh says you tried running AdWords to your Amazon affiliate site, but Google nerfed it for being an affiliate. I hardly get any impressions of the site being set up really tight. Yeah, I mean that's people ask about running ads for Amazon affiliate sites, and that's one of the pitfalls there. Um, yeah, so Niall says, what's my opinion of affiliate links in content, image, buttons, or a combination of the three? Personally, I generally stick with the like text inline in content links. Um, I do have some image links, but not many. I don't have many buttons, like not hardly any buttons at all. So it's just simple. It was a matter of process for me. But I encourage you to test. I mean, I know, go look at the Wirecutter, go look at these other bigger sites. They have a mix of the three. So I imagine a combination of the three is probably great. Emmanuel says, any recommendations for affordable but professional video editors? Upwork. I hired my editor from Upwork, and she's very good. In fact, when I was chatting with Alex yesterday after his live stream, he said, "Man, your editing has gotten so much better. What are you using?" I'm like, "Well, I have an editor now, so I don't touch it," which is the funny part because I've gotten so many compliments on the editing being so much better than it used to be. It's because I don't do it anymore. The other place, and by the way, Emmanuel, I hired 3 video editors to test them out. I sent them a video each, and I was like, "Hey, here are my instructions. Here's kind of what I'm looking for. Send back, send it back. Let me know when you finish up." And I kept one. So I would expect that you have to test a few. The other place I would look is YouTube. So you're watching this now. You watch YouTube stuff. YouTubers usually edit, right, their own video. So they also, right, a lot of them are freelancers. Like if you find the right group of folks, they're freelancers. So like one of my VAs, she is a YouTuber that I like stumbled across her video because she's sort of in my network of like people that I knew in YouTube, and I knew she was looking for work. So we did a couple like small projects, like very small, couple trial jobs, and slowly ramped up the hours. But the point is, she could also do video editing, but I instead have her do like higher level business type things. Chris says, when evaluating your competitors, how critical is it to know exactly how many backlinks they have, including hidden PBNs? It's not that critical because I mean, if they're hiding their PBNs, then you're not going to really know. If you just have like a general idea, that's usually good enough, Chris. Okay. And Alex says, you emailed me and I responded the other day about the Upwork templates, but you're still not able to get them. You signed up for the email list as well, and you did get the keywords. So I'm working on cleaning up my site. I apologize for folks that have had trouble um, with the functionality of the site, these pop-ups and all these things. So, Alex, here's the deal. In the first email where you have the link to the keywords, the content templates are on that page. That is a like special page. So go back to the first email, Alex. Go to the page where you downloaded the keywords, and then you should be able to like find the content. It's called like content templates, something like that. But I'm working on redoing a lot of the stuff on my site. So I'm working on, actually cleaning up the page where you get the free templates and all that stuff, so it's easier for you to find what you're finding. Okay. Emmanuel says, are we not supposed to run ads on an affiliate site? Well, it depends on the affiliate. You've never heard of it before? Could I explain? um Thanks for all the help. You're welcome, Emmanuel. It depends on the affiliate and like the ad network and so you could kind of, I mean, depending on who you're working with, you could kind of do whatever you want. So it's really up to you. And like I was going to say, whoever you heard that from, um, that's who you should ask. So they may have a context in which I don't know what they're talking about. So like basically like check with whoever you heard that from, and they may be able to tell you why they said that. But I haven't said that. So Josh says, when I was running private blog networks, did I ever monetize them with Amazon? You're thinking about it. No, I didn't. Um, never did. So Josh, you have PBNs and you're still having trouble getting traffic and stuff. Okay, and Alex says, oh, you haven't received the first email yet. You downloaded the keywords from the landing page. Oh, okay. Okay. And I think I was going to say, here's the funny thing with the YouTube live stream chats. If I paste a link in there, it's probably not going to work. Most of the time, it doesn't work. It's a little frustrating because, like, you put a link in there, and it's supposed to work. But okay. Ravi's on. What's up? Okay. Hey, Georgie. It's all right, girl. Are you okay? You all right? So, and further, I was going to say, Josh is saying, yes, you do have a PBN and you're still having trouble getting traffic. I mean, that's like a bad sign on the PBNs, I would say. I don't know. You don't have enough PBNs at this point. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Running a network is difficult. It's not much fun, in my opinion. Okay, any other questions? I think we had a good session today. Some people are tapering down. If I answered any of your questions or you found this remotely helpful, I do appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up, just to help the, I guess, YouTube algorithm here. All right, and I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I'll see if any other questions come in. I think I got all the ones. By the way, if you think of questions when we're not talking here, feel free to submit them on the form. It's the bit.ly link for the NSP questions. It's in the description. Submit questions there. And Ravi is asking, am I planning on opening the training again for Amazon niche sites? Yes, I am. I will open it up again. Although Ravi, you mentioned something about like just buying it for a month or something. That's not how it works. And I wanted to make sure that was 100% clear. It's a payment plan, but it's not like, hey, I'm going to get it for a month and then I'm going to cancel it. There's a refund policy in place, but it's not there for you to, you know, buy the course for 1 month and then get a refund. Like that's not how it works. And I just want to be clear, Robbie. So, um, but yeah, it will open back up. And in fact, I'm trying to work out how I can open it up and just have open enrollment for people that want to enroll right away. Chris, see you, man. Hope things are well there. You're welcome, Josh. And then Emmanuel has one more question. If a theme works with WooCommerce, will it also work with WooZone? So the best way to check that out is to contact the theme support. So I have no idea. I don't use Woo anything, and I don't use many themes. So if you ever have a question about a theme, contact the theme support. That is only because there's too many themes for someone to be able to answer that accurately. And Benji's dad, you'll be in contact with me soon. Cool. Yeah, I got your email the other day. I'm still sorting through emails. So like I said, they're tough. They're tough. All right. Thanks everyone. Have a great day. We'll catch you later.